right, yeah, more madness. Iran bombing Israel, and I think Israel's bombing back, and yeah, I remember Jordan Peterson's. I think Iran are the top dogs over there, aren't they? I'm sure I remember Jordan Peterson saying that they hold control. I can't remember now. Don't quote me on that, but it's something like that. But yeah, they're going to Israel. But I've got some clips of bombs. I guess these will be, but also a kind of explanation. But yeah, let's go. Israeli planes targeted 4 targets in Tehran, or attacked 4 targets in Tehran with the Ministry of Defense, nuclear headquarters, laboratories, and oil facilities all hit. You might as well just nuke them. Crazy. Yeah, let's see. I don't know whether these are all the same thing. We'll see. I don't think they are.
Yo, sila. Sila.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is where they hit the nuke power plants and shit, innit? Do you know, I have to say, over the last few days, doing LA riots, Northern Ireland riots. I mean, you look at them scenes and it's bad, but I have to say, that was a much more sadder thing to see. Because in a way, it looks like it's like shooting stars, or like, and maybe as well because we're so tuned to alien things, but or like aliens, or but yeah, you think that's missiles, and then you just see them. That's actually a very depressing visual. That's way more like I say, like riots and all that. Like I know you can get into it's bad and there's damage but that is tragic. Yeah. But yeah, this is going to give a bit of a roundup, I guess.
In the Middle East, where there have been fresh strikes and counter-strikes overnight between Israel and Iran. Now, in a moment, I'll show you some of the latest pictures that we've had into the BBC. But first, let me take you through the latest updates this hour. Iran fired 2 waves of missiles overnight towards Israel. At least 8 people have been killed. More than 200 others have been injured. Meanwhile, Israel launched attacks on the Iranian capital, Tehran. It says it struck targets linked to Iran's nuclear program, and it hit the Shahran oil depot in the north of the country. Well, let me show you some of the pictures that we've had of that fire in from Iran. And you can see that it is raging at that Shahran oil depot. Now, Iran's oil ministry says Israeli strikes targeted the depot and a fuel tank in Tehran, adding that the situation is under control. Now, the oil ministry also said that 2 major gas fields in a southern province were also attacked. The Israel Defense Forces said it carried out air attacks on Tehran, targeting buildings linked to Iran's nuclear program, including the defense ministry. The strike on the oil depot appears to be the first attack on Iran's energy infrastructure. Iran, meanwhile, carried out another round of strikes on Israel, with the country's state TV saying it had launched a wide drone attack. Well, loud explosions were heard across Israel. These pictures are of the missiles and the defense systems in operation over Tel Aviv. Millions of people will have headed to their shelters after getting alerts. Now, officials said that the IAF was operating to intercept and strike when necessary to eliminate the threat, but added that the defense is not hermetic. Now, we are getting reports of all the casualties that are coming in. Now, Israel's emergency service, MDA, released these pictures of attending the scene of one of the strikes in a neighbourhood in the northern city of Tamra. Now, Israeli media is reporting that at least 4 people were killed there. You can see the images showing that rescue operation and the damage to the buildings from that Iranian missile strike. Meanwhile, 4 people were killed in Bat Yam, that is a city in the Tel Aviv metropolitan area. Now, these pictures show the aftermath of the Iranian strike there. A building really appears to have taken a direct hit by a missile. First responders, of course, scrambled to the scene, looking through the debris to rescue the wounded. Now, we know that 4 people died, as I said. They were a woman in her 60s, a woman in her 80s, a boy around 10 years old, and also a young girl. Now, emergency services say 99 others were injured in this area. 4 of them are in a serious condition. You can see people trying to bring their pets out of that debris as well. Let me take you to the live pictures now. And this is the scene there. And you can see that those buildings are been destroyed in areas. The IDF is continuing its search and rescue mission at the site. Now, local media reports say that around 20 people are currently missing. Now, earlier that that number was around 35. Of course, as we were mentioning, this is a fluid situation. So as people get accounted for, it will take the emergency services a little time to know exactly how many people are missing in this debris that you can see. I can also take you to the live pictures across Tel Aviv. We're also getting a report from the Reuters news agency saying that Yemen's Houthis say they targeted Israel with several ballistic missiles in the last 24 hours in coordination with Iran. So that just coming in on the Reuters news agency. Meanwhile, the UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer says more British military jets are being sent to the region, including Typhoons and air-to-air refuelers. The Prime Minister told reporters he's neither ruling in nor out the prospect of British jets helping Israel to respond to Iran's strikes, as happened in April and October last year. Iran has told Britain, France and America that it'll target their ships and bases in the region if they support Israel. Well, in the last hour, President Trump has reacted to the latest strikes on Iran by...
To be fair, what's that in the amount of countries that have threatened the UK in the last 10 years? I mean, obviously the last big one was Russia, but loads of countries have if you get involved. And what is it with getting involved? It's like everyone's a little bit on someone's side and a little bit on this person's side, and yeah. But I remember when it was Russia saying, oh, if the UK gets involved, they're going to do a nuclear tidal wave. But that didn't happen. Yeah.
Israel. He posted this message on Truth Social. I'll read it to you now. The US had nothing to do with the attack on Iran tonight. If we are attacked in any way, shape or form by Iran, the full strength and might of the US armed forces will come down on you at levels never seen before. However, we can easily get a deal done between Iran and Israel and end this bloody conflict. So that's the latest post from President Trump. Let's go live to our Middle East correspondent Hugo Beshega, who is in Jerusalem for us. And Hugo, just bring us up to date on the injuries and casualties from those overnight strikes.
Yeah, Nikki, so it was another long night of attacks, the second night of Iranian attacks across Israel. We had sirens across the country and obviously, alerting people of the threat coming from those missiles. So in the first wave of attacks, a missile hit a residential area in the town of Tamra, which is a mainly Palestinian town in the north of the country. A house partially collapsed. At least 4 people were killed there, and it seems that all the victims are women from the same family. Then hours later, there was a second wave of attacks. We heard loud explosions here in Jerusalem as the air defense systems tried to intercept
They look like shooting stars. That's what's more disturbing.
A missile hit a residential building in the city of Bat Yam, in the central part of Israel. There's a lot of destruction there, a lot of damage, and this morning emergency services are still searching for those people who are still missing. The authorities are saying that more than 30 people are still missing there after this attack. And again, a lot of destruction there as this residential area was hit by a missile. Now, this followed, more Israeli airstrikes on Iran. The targets included the Defense Ministry headquarters in Tehran and also sites that Israel says are linked to the country's nuclear program, including an oil depot in what appears to be the first strike on Iran's energy infrastructure. We haven't had an update from the Iranian authorities yet in terms of casualties, but yesterday an Iranian official said more than 70 people had already been killed as a result of these Israeli airstrikes.
Just seen that the President Herzog saying that it was a very sad and difficult morning. How is the fact that across Israel now they are seeing those pictures on their televisions of those buildings that have been destroyed? I know you went down to the scene of one of them yesterday. What impact is that going to have on Israelis?
Well, I think, people here were, I think, expecting that this could happen because the Israeli authorities, since the beginning of this campaign on Friday, were alerting people that they were expecting a huge Iranian response with missiles and drones, and they were telling the people to stay alert, to follow the instructions by the authorities, to seek shelter, during those attacks. Again, I think, this is the kind of the impact that this is going to have on the ground, on people in Israel as this campaign continues. And the indications from the Israeli authorities are that this is going to be a prolonged campaign. We're talking about weeks, not days. And last night, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the attacks that have happened so far, the Israeli attacks, were just the beginning, were nothing compared with what would come next in Iran. So an indication that this is just the beginning.
Hugo Bashega live in Jerusalem. Thank you. Well, let's speak now to Ben Zala. He's a senior lecturer in politics and international relations at Monash University and joins me live from Melbourne. Thank you very much for your time on BBC News. I wondered if I could pick up on one of the points that Hugo made there, the fact that in these latest strikes, Israel appears to be targeting the fuel operation, oil depots and other areas in Iran.
That's right. They've really now broadened out the attacks beyond just what was the initial stuff on the actual nuclear program itself, hitting actual sites, and then the targeted assassinations of key personnel in the military and in the nuclear program. This is now quite a bit wider. So we've had attacks on oil and gas fields, also on airports. This appears to be trying to limit Iran's ability to respond. The Israelis always knew that the Iranians would respond, would retaliate, and they're trying to blunt that in any way they can.
Do we have any idea yet of the scale of the damage that has been done across Iran, and in particular at those nuclear sites that you mentioned?
So it is still early days, and it's probably going to take some time before we have a very accurate picture. But we have some idea. I was just looking at some of the updated satellite images this morning, and these were mainly of the Natanz enrichment facility, which has both an underground and an above ground aspect to it. We don't really know anything about the damage to the underground facility, but the above ground facility appears to have been very extensively damaged. There are buildings that are just no longer there. There are structures that are completely obliterated. This will really have put the program back by some margin.
And what do you think the impact is going to be on normal Iranians? The fact that oil depots have been hit, that might also have an impact on the fact that they could even get petrol and other supplies.
That's right. The impact will go well beyond just the military's ability to move assets around and respond to these Israeli attacks. At some point, there will be this will be felt fairly widely in the Iranian population. That may also be part of Israel's calculation here. It does appear, certainly as part of the official statements, even Benjamin Netanyahu's press conference that he gave when the initial attack was underway, he has been making statements, and other officials have been making statements that are calling for the Iranian population to rise up against their own government. And so this may well be part of the Israeli calculation. They're trying to make life harder for the Iranian population in the short term and make people reflect on whether their government is actually able to secure their interests and in their best interests to remain in place.
And we've had this post from Donald Trump saying the US had nothing to do with the attacks on Iran tonight. If we're attacked in any way, shape or form, the full strength and might of the US armed forces will come down on you. Also saying a deal can be done. Where do you think this goes next?
Extremely difficult to say, of course. I know that's the disappointing answer, but everyone really is watching with bated breath. I think where it probably goes, at least in the short term over the next few days, is further attacks from the Israelis. Clearly, they're doing this in stages. There were a number of nuclear sites, particularly that at Fordo and Isfahan, that weren't hit in the initial wave of attacks and have been since. So I expect more attacks from Israel. There will certainly be more retaliatory attacks from Iran. The key question will be whether any of those attacks go a little further and hit non-Israeli targets, so hit American or perhaps even British interests in the region, and that will depend on the degree to which Iran perceives US and other Western states as actually facilitating these attacks on the part of Israel.
Ben,
If those Western sites are attacked, then I think we should expect a much wider escalation of the conflict, unfortunately.
Ben Salah, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Insanity. I see what they're saying now. Not attacking the UK, attacking the UK's places over there. Yeah. Yeah, that's a bad idea. That is a bad idea. Craziness, though. Craziness. I don't always think as well that there's a deal, like Donald Trump said. I know he's big on the deal, and he like, and I said before that that is a good mentality to have, but I don't think that everybody you can bring to the table. It's like the thing in Ireland at the moment with the Catholics and Protestants. It gets deep into that world where I don't think you're ever really going to. It's like too much shit between people to bring people to the table, and especially over there. But yeah, be interesting to see where this. And I mean, there's so many things at the moment where it'd be interesting to see how it all plays out. Yeah. But yeah, that's the reaction. Sweet.